What's up, Robert, buddy? Just a second. Setting things up here.
Setting things up here. Setting things up here.
All right, there we go. So I think we only got one person in the chat room right now, but doing another Saturday afternoon live gameplay and Q&A session with you guys. So we'll wait for a few more people to join in. But for today, I thought in celebration of today's news, I don't know if celebration's the right word, but in celebration of this weekend's news for Marvel Legends, I thought today we'd play the X-Men Children of the Atom game as opposed to just Marvel superheroes. So for those of you not familiar, this is the arcade 1-up Marvel superhero arcade machine that I got a few weeks ago. And last couple weeks, I've just been doing these game sessions where you guys watch me play, and then you ask me questions, and I try and answer them to the best of my abilities. And today, I am going to be Cyclops, taking on Iceman. Now, this weekend, we had out of Barcelona, we had several new, well, not just Barcelona, and Lucca was the second convention. 2 conventions this weekend. 2 EU conventions where they revealed Marvel Legends, and specifically, basically they revealed all the figures except for the Build-A-Figure in the new Age of Apocalypse wave. So a lot of people seem to have been surprised about this wave. It was actually announced back during San Diego Comic-Con, but they'd only revealed 3 of the figures for the wave during San Diego. And then yesterday they revealed 2 figures, and then today they revealed 2 figures. So yeah, we got Dark Beast was one of today's reveals, and then Jean Grey was the second one for today. And then yesterday we saw the Age of Apocalypse versions of Sunfire and Wild Child. And yes, Iceman is now kicking my butt because I was reading your guys' comments. Hey Sloan, what's up? What a punk. Take that, Iceman. So anyway, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. First of all, how many of you are familiar with the whole Age of Apocalypse storyline? It was put out back in '95, so it's a pretty old storyline. And then, how many of you like the idea of Hasbro doing, an entire wave based on one specific storyline? I'd be kind of interested to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I like the storyline. I mean, it was a good story back in the day. I'm not sure how excited I am for an entire wave based on it, but I mean, Toy Biz did a number of figures based on the storyline as well, but they never did an entire wave. It was the House M they did a box set for, if I remember correctly, but I think they just released some of the figures individually in the wave, like Wolverine, the Weapon X Wolverine, and Sabretooth are the 2 I remember specifically. What's up, action figure expert? The Dark Beast looks good. Now, a couple of the characters from the storyline actually ended up transferring over to the regular Marvel Universe after the storyline ended. And Dark Beast was one of those characters that actually ended up in the regular Marvel Universe. I'm not sure what his current status is, but he did. Him and Nathan Summers also made it over into the regular Marvel Universe. That's my dog barking in the background there, if you're hearing him. Not sure what he's barking at. And Psylocke kicked my butt. I always like to be Cyclops when I play the X-Men game. Sometimes I'm Wolverine, just because I think Wolverine is easier to use, but I like Cyclops. So anyway, back to the Marvel Legend reveal. So, Dark Beast, like I said, he was in the regular Marvel universe, so I think he's a pretty cool choice. I unfortunately, the Build-A-Figure, we don't know what the Build-A-Figure for the wave is. I still find it hard to believe they do an Age Apocalypse wave and not do Apocalypse, but also at the same time, the fact they're giving us Wild Child, it would be odd for them not to give us Sabretooth since they went, hand in hand with each other in that storyline. I don't really consider Sabretooth to be, Build-A-Figure size, but then again, we saw with like Demo Goblin and the Spider-Man wave that size doesn't always matter. So I suppose it could be Sabretooth as the Build-A-Figure, but to me that wouldn't be a very impressive Build-A-Figure. In fact, if they were going to do that as a Build-A-Figure, they should have really done Wild Child and Sabretooth together as the Build-A-Figure, like 2 in 1, and then have it so Wild Child could ride on Sabretooth's shoulders like you would always see. You think it's going to be a peg warmer action figure expert? Yeah, I honestly, it could be, in my opinion, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of the younger Marvel Legend collectors really just aren't going to be that familiar with the storyline. And even those who are familiar with it, I'm not sure how keen they are on all the characters. Like, I would have rather, instead of getting another Weapon X, another Wolverine, I would have rather seen one of the other characters. I mean, I like they're doing Morph. And somebody, when I did reviewed the X-Men 3-pack the other day, the Jim Lee style Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine, somebody came up with the idea that they should do a regular morph head like from the animated series that you could stick on like the Cyclops body, which I think is actually kind of a cool idea with the jacket, because Morph in the cartoon, basically wore an X-Men outfit and then had was always wearing the jacket. What's up, Collector 5000? We also, besides Marvel Legends, we had some Star Wars reveals. So finally, Count Dooku for the Black Series revealed. I know a lot of people have been waiting to hear about him. I was a little disappointed that they're doing another battle droid, basically one of the brown battle droids, which is essentially just a repaint of the battle droid we already had. So that was a little disappointing. Yesterday we had Kit Fisto and Plo Koon, so those guys are cool. Some Jedi to add to the ranks was pretty cool. And then for Vintage Collection, actually, it's funny because they were supposed to reveal another Mandalorian TV series Vintage Collection figure this week, and they didn't. Yesterday they revealed a Clone Trooper, and then today they revealed Darth Maul and Wicket the Ewok and Anakin Skywalker and Kenobi in his clone armor. So I don't know. They say stuff at some of these conventions and then they just kind of seem to change their mind. That was Siri chiming in back there. Not Siri, but Alexa. Maybe it was Siri. I don't know. Got so many virtual people around here. Oh, there goes Alexa.
From Newsy, the latest
All right,
headlines.
Alexa, shut up. And then we had the Power Rangers. So for Power Rangers, they revealed Wave 4, which apparently is only a 3-figure wave. There was supposed to be a 4, well, not supposed, but there was rumored to be 4 with the yellow Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, which apparently did not get included in this wave. Probably got held back, or maybe it'll be a store exclusive. I know the rumor came about because it showed up in the Walmart, I think showed up on the Walmart website. But the other figures in that wave. So trying to play, look at something here. So we had the Beast Morpher Blaze, and he's pretty cool. They did a smaller, 4-inch version or whatever, the smaller, or not 4-inch, but was it 6-inch? Their basic figures, yeah. I think they did him in the basic line. And then SPD Red Ranger. I think that one was kind of a cool choice. And then, of course, the blue Zeo Ranger, which we saw last week. I don't know how many of you guys actually are into the Power Ranger stuff. And me, specifically, it's not really something... Alright. Damn Wolverine. I don't personally, not personally into Power Rangers, but I actually like their Lightning Collection figures. They're pretty cool looking. Hey Jay, do you think there's going to be a re-release of the Mark 85 Iron Man with the gauntlet? I think there will be at some point down the road. I assume you're talking about Marvel Legend. But I believe, I don't doubt that at some point, I don't know when, but at some point Hasbro will find a way to re-release the Mark 85 with more accessories. The Nano we had the Power Gauntlet already, but the Nano Gauntlet, definitely I would think they'll do. I could see them doing a multi-pack with Iron Man 85 and Warrior Thor, and maybe a third figure. I don't know. Could be just a 2-pack with Warrior Thor, braided Thor with the his outfit, and then Iron Man with updated accessories. A Mimic. We need a Mimic. Yeah, a Mimic. I don't think we've ever gotten a Marvel Legend Mimic. He would be kind of cool. He hasn't. Mimic's dead, if I remember correctly, though. He hasn't. Unless they brought him back to life, but. Oops, sorry about that. I'm way excited for the Fantastic Four wave in January. Yeah, I like the I like the modern Fantastic Four. I can't say I'm dying for it, but I like it when we get modern versions of the characters. So I like those, and I like Doom. Doom's a must-have. Super Skrull's pretty much a must-have. She-Hulk I'm okay on, but I don't even think that really looks like how she does in the comics right now. Because she's green in the comics. She's kind of big and muscular like that, but she looks like a bodybuilder. But Doom is definitely the must-have in that wave for me. Wouldn't it be Chitauri? Yeah, they've done, for the basic line, they've done the Chitauri. I wouldn't, and I believe there was a Marvel Select version of the Chitauri too, if I remember correctly. So it wouldn't be too bad, but probably other characters I'd rather see than a Jatari, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I think Power Ranger ad says Power Ranger Lightning will sort out inaccurate helmets and QC problems with paint. So the build, you don't want the build, you don't like Super Scroll as a Build-A-Figure for the wave? I don't know. I have no problem with Super Scroll. I mean, the only downside to that is those who would want to get into Army build as a regular Scroll, but I still think he's too big looking to be a regular Scroll, and hopefully, if there's a demand for a Scroll Army, hopefully Hasbro will do regular, more scrawny looking Scrolls as a regular release or what have you. I wouldn't try an Army build this guy, man. You'd have to either buy a lot of Fantastic Four figures or just go to the secondary market, which would probably cost quite a bit of money. Yeah, the Sentinel on here is definitely short, but I think if they made him Sentinel size, I mean, like you can see the one in the background there, he's Sentinel size, so, but it'd be pretty hard to take this guy if he was full on, one guy. I mean, some of these, like Captain America taking out the Hulk. I mean, I love Cap, but in a one-on-one fight, there's no way Cap could beat the Hulk. I mean, but yeah, they definitely made the Sentinel in this game a little bit on the short side. Yeah, because like Cyclops would be able to pick up a Sentinel and body slam him like that. An Odin figure? Yeah, I mean, they did build a figure, but are you talking about for the MCU? Something different. I mean, the thing about that is, like I said, now that Fantastic Four is back in the, Disney and everything, I mean, my guess is we'll see Fantastic Four waves at least once a year, maybe even more if they sell really well. So, if there's a character you were hoping for that didn't get in this wave, I wouldn't worry too much because I'm sure, we will be seeing it. Same, I mean, there's going to be a lot of different versions of the FF themselves. I'm sure they're going to do white outfits, classic outfits, translucent for Invisible Woman, maybe even, Human Torch. So I wouldn't really worry about it because I think, now that they've opted to do an entire, themed wave for Fantastic Four, I think we'll see it just like with Spider-Man. I mean, eventually they'll get around to every Spider-Man character. Oh, and then, of course, what I haven't talked about yet is Crossbones, which was another reveal from yesterday, comic book-based Crossbones, which looks like is using the Hyperion mold. So I know a lot of people were complaining about that, not liking that Hyperion mold. I never really had a huge problem with it, but definitely it seems like some folks were not happy with that choice. But I thought it looked good. I thought the figure looked good. So, I mean, until I get it in hand, it's hard to say. But and I think my guess is, like, the Crossbones, Spymaster, and comic book Winter Soldier are all going to be part of the Black Widow wave, and those are probably the 3 comic book based figures. So there's probably 3 movie figures at least. And then the big question is, will the Build-A-Figure be a movie based Build-A-Figure, or will it be a comic book based Build-A-Figure? I mean, I can't think of what they would do in the Black Widow movie for comic, or for that would be Build-A-Figure size, but then, we don't know what exactly is going to show up in the movie, so. Everett, what's up? Banshee and Thunderbird. Yeah, I mean, Banshee and Thunderbird. I mean, now we're getting Warpath. I mean, Thunderbird's almost a given. They'll use the same body and just change it up a bit. So I definitely feel like we'll see Warpath in the future. And Banshee, I think, is another one that we'll probably see sooner or later. Yeah, not this year, but eventually, I think we'll definitely see him. I was disappointed that like today the reveals weren't the remaining 3 X-Force figures. I was really hoping that's what today's reveals were going to be, not more Age of Apocalypse stuff. Because I'm really curious to know what they're going to do for the remaining 3 X-Force. I would love for either to be Wolfsbane from X Factor or Pharaoh from X-Force, but I doubt they're going to do those 2 in this wave. When Colossus gets in close, I'm dead. Got to keep him away. Classic Red Skull in the green jumpsuit, I assume you mean? AJ was wondering if you heard a list that was made by a YouTuber named and saying that there's going to get action figures from Fox Films. I mean, he pulls his stuff usually from Store Computers. I haven't looked at his latest video, but you know, I don't know. I don't see there's a lot of demand for Fox. I mean, characters, so we'll have to see. I mean, like I said, Toy Biz did X-Men back in the day in the black suits, and they were pretty boring figures. I mean, Deadpool, I think definitely would be a good figure. And my guess is, Deadpool when he joins the MCU, I think we talked about this last week. But, I mean, other than X-Men, what is there? They're not going to do Fantastic Four Fox figures. I can almost guarantee that. And, I could see them maybe doing, just for nostalgia, the original X-Men from, the first X-Men movie in the black outfits. But honestly, I'm not sure anyone's really looking for that. I can't say I would be terribly excited for it. Let's see, Dark Beast would be good for a werewolf custom. Werewolf by night or just werewolf in general? Both. Yeah. He's got those weird pants, though. So, I mean, I could see them using the upper body for something like that, but not the lower body. Old Logan, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I never count out any kind of Wolverine figure. Like, at some point, especially now that we have Bone Claws, we're gonna get the Beast Wolverine. As he appeared after Magneto ripped out the metal. That version's gonna come sooner or later. I mean, I feel that Hasbro will do every single version of Wolverine sooner or later. So speaking of movies, I'm curious, has anybody seen the new Terminator movie yet? I was debating whether to go see it or not, and I love the first 2 Terminator movies, but pretty much every Terminator movie after that has sucked or not been that great. And I'm just curious if anyone's actually seen it, and if it's more on par with the first 2, or if it's more on par with more recent Terminator movies. I'm going in 10 minutes. Hey, Wade, let me know how it is. New Terminator sucks. They simply forgot a major plot point of T1. That sucks. I heard it was good. True sequel to T2. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about it, so that's why I haven't made up my mind. I mean, it's got the original people who worked on, the first one, so. Wait, yeah, I know what you mean about that. Juggernaut's kicking my ass. But it makes characters obsolete. Well, Arnold's getting pretty obsolete just in age, so I don't know if he's who you're referring to, but or maybe John Connor. I mean, I'm not even sure. I thought John Connor was supposed to be in this movie, but and don't tell me because I don't want it to be spoiled, but he definitely, at least from all the trailers and everything, seemed to be absent. AK Studios, YouTube and 12. I've done 2 videos on the possible changes. So, if they do what they say they, or what's been indicated, it's gonna suck. If they turn off anyone who works with toys in any way, if they turn off their comments and basically bury their channel so nobody sees it whenever they upload a video, it's not going to be good. But honestly, YouTube's just been frustrating me recently. It seems like the algorithm has been. So Ad definitely is not a fan. But anyway, K Studios, it's, like I said, if they do what they do, it's going to be bad, but I'm still, skeptical if they're really going to do that, because it just seems like if they implement the changes to everybody they've indicated, it's going to be so widespread. I mean, it's going to go beyond just toys. So, I don't know. And this thing that sucks the most is, we don't know, and so we're essentially just left waiting and wondering what's going to happen. Now, from me personally, YouTube is just one thing that I do, so it's not the end of the world if YouTube became obsolete for my purposes. But there are definitely those that it would really drastically affect, and not just those who make money, but just those who do it because they want people to see their videos. Like I said in my video when I talked about it, if they'd make the changes that happen, it's not just about losing monetization on the videos. It's about people just not seeing your videos go up anymore, and definitely not being able to comment or anything. All right, we're gonna take Juggernaut on one more time, and then probably going to call it quits for today. If you got any quick questions, lay them on me and I'll try and answer them here. Did you guys check out my last couple reviews with Mr. Peely? Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. The Marvel Legend one got a lot of views, but the Mortal Kombat one has not gotten a whole lot of views. I actually thought that one turned out pretty well, the Mortal Kombat one. That one took me all day to do, though. And originally I was going to go with a different way, and then I wanted to kind of do something Halloweenish since it was going up on Halloween, and so that's why I added the second part of it and stuff. AJ, do you know if DC Collectibles will release Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to international fans? I've not heard anything on international, other than I think people in Canada can get them at EB Games, but I don't have any specific information on anything outside of that. I actually have the last two of those sets, which I will be reviewing next week, the Alfred and Donatello, and then the or not Donatello, but yeah, now my mind's going blank. But you know, the one with Alfred, and then the second one with Shredder and Ra's al Ghul. So I will be reviewing those hopefully sometime next week. Michelangelo. God, the name slip. The one with Alfred and Michelangelo, and then the one with Shredder and Ra's al Ghul. All right, I lied. We're gonna play one more. I also have the Doomslayer figure from McFarlane Toys I was going to try and review this week. Making a new Halloween movie, Halloween Kills. I assume you mean they're making, because I'm not making. But cool. Yeah, I knew they were making another Halloween movie. I don't know if canceled the right word, but I haven't heard anything new. They put out that one extra figure of Arya, which I think is at GameStop. And originally I thought there was going to be a whole second wave, but it seems like they only did Arya. So I mean, with the series pretty much over now, you know, I don't see McFarlane putting a lot into it, but, you know, nothing, they've not come out and said specifically that the wave, you know, that the line is canceled. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I mean, being, like I said, for the second wave, it looks like they just did one figure. It probably doesn't bode well that they're going to do a lot more anytime soon. Though, honestly, they seem to have sold pretty well, the first wave. I mean, I saw them at Target once, and they sold. That doesn't necessarily mean they sold in huge numbers, but... AK Studios, this is, well, it's an arcade one-up machine, and it includes the classic Marvel superheroes, which is a Street Fighter version with Marvel characters. Then X-Men Children of the Atom, which is this game, which is, again, a Street Fighter-like game with X-Men characters. And then the third game that's in the cabinet is Punisher, which is a side-scroller where you can either be Punisher or Nick Fury, very similar to, like, Final Fight. Now, if you're not familiar with any of those other games, I don't know how to more explain it to you, but this cabinet features all Marvel games. Are you going to be? Am I going to review the next? Well, there hasn't really. I mean, other than the GameStop exclusives, there hasn't been any announcement for another wave of Mortal Kombat figures beyond Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So, if they do more, I will probably review them. I'm probably not going to pick up the GameStop variants, if that's what you're referring to, though. I know, I keep saying, this is the last game, and then... You ever get the NECA Laura Stroud Ultimate figure? No, I did not pick up the Halloween figures. They look good. And I know some people weren't that thrilled with the Laura Stroud figure, but I'm glad they did that character. Now, of all that genre of horror movies, Halloween was always my favorite. The original, the later ones. I mean, the last one wasn't too bad, though. It wasn't as good as I was hoping either. But the originals were definitely classics, and like I always liked the Michael Myers movies better than the Jason movies or even the Freddy movies. Yep, they do have the DC license, and I'm still hoping for good things. My disappointment with the Mortal Kombat figures was the articulation was a little bit limited because they covered up the ab joint, and I know why they did it because I know how much McFarlane hates articulation, but it definitely limits the movement of the figures, which with characters like Mortal Kombat, it's kind of disappointing. So I hope they don't do that with the DC stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, like the Peely figure, that's actually I also probably need to review that figure. It's actually a pretty good figure. Um, the banana peel is actually a rubber material, so there's actually an ab crunch joint in that figure that you can limit it a little bit, but you actually have better movement on the Peely figure than you do on the Mortal Kombat figure. So it's kind of interesting. Age of Apocalypse Rogue, yeah. I was a little surprised they went with Jean Grey. I think people would have rather have seen Rogue instead of Jean Grey, but what do you think of all the horror movies that came out in the '80s? Friday the 13th. Well, I mean, like I said, Halloween was my favorite of those. I'm not a huge horror fan. I mean, I saw those movies as a kid, but to me, they got kind of silly after a while, which I think was maybe kind of the point. I don't know, but I definitely thought the Halloween movies were my favorite of that genre. And, though I would say actually maybe the Friday the 13th movies, or not Friday the 13th, but the Nightmare on Elm Street movies were actually maybe scarier, but I still prefer the Halloween movies over the others. Yeah, Storm Collectibles. I mean, the thing about Storm Collectibles though is, I mean, they're much more expensive figures. So, the McFarlane stuff's around 20, 25. The Storm Collectibles stuff is, 80 plus. So, it's not really, in my opinion, a fair comparison. But I would say the Storm Collectible Mortal Kombat figures are definitely better than the McFarlane ones. You definitely get better movement on those figures. Now, my only fear on the Storm Collectible stuff is that rubbery material over time is not going to hold up well. So I know like Diamond Select, or actually Art Asylum that Diamond Select Toys purchased, used that kind of material with their Star Trek figures, and some of those didn't hold up as well over the years. So it'll be interesting to see how the Storm Collectible stuff does over the years. Adam, he's my favorite character because in the comics, he did not have any real superpowers. He didn't have super strength like he does in the movies. So Captain America was basically the fastest and strongest a normal human being could be without any extra superpowers. And that always, impressed me that he could go out there and he was such a natural born leader and everything. And even the most powerful characters on the Avengers would look to him for leadership and stuff. And so that's really what kind of impressed me with Captain America and why he ended up becoming my favorite character. And then also just U.S. Agent. I mean, it was the USA. It was the captain when he switched to the captain. I love that uniform, which is now the U.S. Agent uniform, and that's why he's one of my favorite characters. And I think U.S. Agent's just kind of an interesting character. I mean, he changes a lot depending on who's writing him, but definitely when he first appeared, I thought he was definitely kind of an interesting character. And again, I love the U.S. Agent outfit. So that's pretty much why those two characters are my favorite. Um, yeah, in the movies, I mean, they gave him some extra strength and stuff that he didn't originally have in the comics. Of course, they took away his adamantium in the shield, so maybe it was a fair trade-off. Let's see. I didn't like. let's see. Well, as far as the Halloween movies go, I mean, after the first two, definitely was kind of downhill. I mean, Halloween 3 was a totally different movie. And in fact, I don't know if you're familiar, but the original concept on the Halloween movies is they weren't all supposed to focus on Michael Myers. Each one was supposed to be kind of a different story, and the third one was kind of in that keeping. But I guess because it did not perform well at the box office, they went back to Michael and kind of stuck with that theme. But after Halloween 2, it was kind of downhill from there. And I never thought they did a very good job of flushing out the whole story of what made Michael what he was and all that. Which I doubt many people go to see those movies for a story. They're going for the whole slasher and And back then, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but back then also the thing is, I mean, as a younger kid, it was you were always hoping that you get some nudity scenes and things like that, and I don't know, it was just campy stuff that I think probably attracted most people to that kind of movie. We need 6-inch GI Joes. We'd like to see a video of your collection. Yeah, I keep meaning to do a video, of The Office, but definitely one of these days here soon I will do that. And as far as 6-inch GI Joes go, I mean, with the movie coming, I think we'll see a return of GI Joe toys, and I would not be surprised at all if they try and do some of the 6-inch, some 6-inch stuff. I still, GI Joe is heavily a 3 3/4 inch line, but most of the fans are 3 3/4 inch fans who grew up in the '80s and everything. Obviously, the older Joes were taller, but the real American Hero stuff was a 3 3/4 inch line. So I worry if they start doing 6-inch figures, there's going to be this battle between the 3 3/4 inch and the 6-inch collectors, like we saw with Marvel, which always annoyed the crap out of me. I mean, I don't know why people can't like both. I guess they feel like if Hasbro focuses on one scale, they're not putting their efforts in the other scale, and so they get kind of bitchy with each other. But I would personally, love to see 6-inch GI Joe figures, but also would love to see more 3 3/4 inch. The collector club really kind of ruined GI Joe for me, just because I wasn't gonna do the whole subscription thing or sign up for the club and stuff, and then they ended up doing a lot of figures that I would have liked to have had for the collection but wasn't able to get. And so then when you start getting all these holes, it's like you just start losing interest, and I don't know. But with the movie coming, definitely seems like the movie is moving forward, the Snake Eyes movie and stuff. So I would imagine that will bring GI Joe toys back. What do I think of the Action Force Kickstarter? I haven't looked at it that closely, but I'm not a huge Kickstarter fan in all person. I mean, they have their purposes, but in some ways I feel like it's just, I mean, in a way it's direct pre-ordering essentially, but I don't know, I just don't like the idea of having to put the money up first for something. But I mean, the figure, from what I've seen, they don't look bad. So I was never that much into Action Force though, so for me personally, I don't have a lot of interest in it, but from what I've seen, they don't look bad. All right, guys. Well, I think I am going to call it for today. But like I said, hopefully I may do a news video tomorrow talking more detail about this weekend's reveals and updating on the Marvel Select Thanos, which I should have in my hand on Monday. So that's another review that will probably be coming up next week. And then, like I said, I've got those remaining 2 sets for the Batman versus Turtles from DC Collectibles I'm going to be reviewing, and maybe Doomslayer from the McFarlane toy line. So hopefully you guys will check those out. And if you haven't checked out the Mortal Kombat and the X-Men, or really a lot of my recent reviews, if you haven't checked them out, please go and do so. I feel like YouTube is, not notifying people, a lot of people, when videos go up, even if they've checked the bell. And I've heard other YouTubers having similar problems. So, definitely, if you haven't seen some of my recent videos, I mean, if you're watching this today, you probably have. If you're tuning into a live chat with me, you've probably have, so I'm kind of probably preaching to the choir here. But if not, if by some chance you haven't, please do check out my recent reviews and let me know what you think. Definitely want to do more stuff with Mr. Peely. Yeah, I think he's a fun figure, but that stuff definitely takes a long time. I mean, you know, I look at Shartimus Prime's videos and his, Big Time Spider-Man, and, it doesn't seem like it. Those segments last like 2 minutes, but it's amazing how long it takes to put stuff together like that. The Mortal Kombat, the stuff in the Mortal Kombat video, I mean, that literally took a good portion of the day to do, so. And when you're trying to do 50 other things, run websites and gather up news and cover conventions and all that stuff, it can get wearing. But I want to try and do some more of that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys check it out and everything. Appreciate you guys tuning in today, of course, watching me play my video game. As always, it's much appreciated. And until next time, guys, I will catch you later.